My name is Alfred Hitchcock. You know, I sometimes consider getting out of this business.
Born and raised in London, Alfred Hitchcock is arguably the most influential and important film figure in the development of modern cinema. Throughout his 5-decade-long career, he has pioneered a variety of film techniques which not only tell a chilling and suspenseful story, but also creates visually appealing graphics. Dubbed Sir Alfred Hitchcock and more notoriously known as the Master of Suspense, Hitchcock has changed the world of cinema indefinitely. With over 50 feature films, Hitchcock has managed to create the foundation for some of the greatest filmmakers of our time. In this video, we will see what makes Hitchcock Hitchcock by breaking down 3 of his most prominent film trademarks. This is A Filmmaker's Guide to, where we analyze some of history's most brilliant filmmakers with your host, Arya. Notoriously known for using Bernard Herrmann's musical score, Hitchcock uses both string and air instruments to create an array of tones to heighten the emotions in the scene at hand. Not only does it exaggerate the situation, but it also is used to manipulate the audience by associating certain sounds with certain motifs. For example, in Psycho, in the first half of the film, the director has established that when music is heard, something bad is taking place. It doesn't matter what type of music it is, as long as there's any music, it means there's going to be a negative outcome. Contrastingly, if no music is played, it means something good is going to happen. When Marion is shown in the same room as the $40,000 that she has just stolen, Herrmann's specially crafted score begins to play. This is seen many times throughout the film, especially when Marion is doing something negative. But as the audience, we try to contemplate what will happen next. Hitchcock knows this, thus tries to trick us into thinking one thing when its outcome is completely different. When Marion pulls into the Bates Motel, the intense score, instead of continuing, stops. Thus hinting Marion is safe, which is far from what happens next. This association with good equals no music and bad equals music is seen many times throughout Hitchcock's films. Through different mediums like specific object, show the audience the character and who he or she is. Edward Rothstein, American music critic for the New York Times, writes, "But it was more than that. For Hitchcock, music was not merely an accompaniment, it was a focus, and it didn't just reveal something about the characters who sang the score's song or moved under its canopy of sound. Music could seem to be a character itself." Hitchcock is very meticulous when it comes to picking sounds and songs for his films. The music tells us the story through which we are thrown in a roller coaster of emotions. The heightened emotion with sound makes the scene much more vivid and engaging by creating a surrounding in which we feel for the characters and not just sit and watch. It is important to utilize music the way Hitchcock does, as it is used purposefully to invoke emotion in the audience and enhance a character or story. Hitchcock was the first filmmaker to utilize the MacGuffin. The MacGuffin is an object that is utterly useless to the audience but what drives the plot of the film forward, like the briefcase from Pulp Fiction or the rabbit's foot from Mission Impossible 3. We never really find out what these items are, but know that they are significantly important to the characters who interact with them. In Psycho, the money Marion steals from her boss is the main MacGuffin. The emphasis is on the money the entire first half of the film, but we later find out that the killing is the real plot. Or in Strangers on a Train, the lighter isn't seen as a significant object to us as the audience, but is the main obstacle standing in between Guy and Bruno. Jake Hamilton from the Houston Chronicle writes, "By never showing us exactly what we're afraid of, Hitchcock extended our meager adrenaline rush into a prolonged dread that hangs over the audience throughout the entire film." The MacGuffin was used to employ 2 things: to create suspicion and to act as a distractor. When a specific object is repeated constantly throughout a film, as seen on Strangers on a Train with the lighter, we the audience focus on that specific object and deem it to be of much importance. Because of this fixed focus, we are completely surprised with the original plot of the film. The overall impact that the MacGuffin has is to create a more pleasurable film experience, since it creates tension in real life and not only in the film. The final trademark we'll discuss in this video is the use of deep focus composition. Deep focus is when the camera chooses to keep all objects in the frame regardless of position in sharp focus. This form of staging deep space or deep staging because it involves the placement of actors, props, and set pieces at great depth. For such a shot to work, a director must be able to capture a clearly focused image. A deep focus shot will allow such clarity. Deep focus composition allows the audience to clearly compare two characters or situations, building suspense and allowing the audience to see both sides of the story at the same time. For example, in Strangers on a Train, we see deep focus shot used when Bruno's father enters the room and begins berating Bruno. We see Bruno's rage, who's in the foreground, and his father's rage, who is in the background. We as the audience understand what is fueling Bruno's hatred for his father. The main impact of inserting a deep focus shot is to give more clarity to the scene. Specifically, in Hitchcock's films, it is used to build suspense. This technique also works only when mise-en-scène is present, as mise-en-scène makes it visually pleasing and interesting. Deep focus is essentially the opposite of a close-up shot. With a close-up shot, the camera restricts the viewer's vision by only showing a detail of something. However, with a deep focus shot, the camera shows us a whole new, multi-layered, fully realized world. Well, there you have it, Hitchcock's 3 film trademarks. Without a doubt, Hitchcock will continue to have a massive influence on the cinema world and generations of filmmakers to come. I invite you to watch some of the titles shown. All these films are great for the beginner Hitchcock viewer, as some of his greater masterpieces tend to get slow and require a great deal of patience to watch and understand. Hitchcock puts thought and passion into every scene. He helps us see that there are many different things that contribute to making a film good, and that the common misconception that one factor plays a greater role is wrong. Hitchcock teaches us that all factors play an equal role, as they all contribute a unique element to a film. Thanks for watching this episode of A Filmmaker's Guide to with your host, Arya.